here. Kirsten, do you have your agenda or do you need me to put it up?
I do have the agenda, and
Alrighty.
also the meeting. I need to read those meeting. I had them up. One moment. And
all
you'll
right,
share
take your
screen.
time. Whenever you're ready, we can begin.
Okay. Awesome. All right, so here is our agenda for this morning. So I guess I call this meeting of the Financial Subcommittee for RWRAC to order, and Jeanette will do the roll call.
All right, Asia Philbin.
Here.
Matt Mathewson.
Here.
Eric Sulwald.
Here.
Kirsten Wangsvik.
Here.
Claire Zucker.
Here.
We have a full quorum.
All right. So I will read the virtual meeting reminders. Please mute your microphones to ensure we do not have any feedback or other background noises. If a committee member would like to ask a question, please use the raise your hand feature. Remember to lower your hand once your question has been addressed. When you are ready to speak, please unmute your microphone. This is especially important during votes, and don't forget to mute your microphone after the vote or after the comment. As a reminder, audience members are only permitted to speak during the call to audience unless called upon by a committee member or the committee. This meeting is being recorded to satisfy open meeting law requirements. And for those attending the meeting in person, well, that doesn't actually apply in this case, so I won't go through those. Great. So now we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. So I pledge allegiance to the flag,
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was going to accompany you on that, but
I'm like, am I doing this solo? Is everybody else muted? Sorry. Yeah, let's do a safety share. So Jackson or anyone else who's got one.
No one else. We always have safety shares.
Eric's got his hand up.
Oh, okay,
Eric,
go ahead.
Jump in.
Okay, so first of all, it has been really safe while Jackson's been on vacation. Number two, the last month of the year is always a time for travel, and just be aware of your surroundings. You know, situational awareness allows you to see what's out there and think about what's coming at you. Defensive driving, watching out for the kids when school is out at the Christmas holidays, just so we can all get together with our families and friends over this wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
Just to add to that, there's young drivers out there, high schoolers, or even young college students who probably are not used to driving in the dark. I just set my college student off this morning and we realized, oh, the sun doesn't come up until 7 a.m. She usually leaves at 6:45, so it was darker than usual driving along. So yeah, we can't see things, and sometimes we've got folks that are not as used to driving in the dark at that time in the morning. So. All right, well, let's move on to the approval of the minutes. I did find one thing, Jeanette, which is I think you've got a spelling error maybe of Mr. Coron's name at the top of page 3. Oh, did I stop sharing? Sorry. Let me go back. This is one correction I found. I don't know if anyone else found that. There's a few of those in this paragraph on page 3. There may be others. You might want to do a find or replace there. Something happened.
Thank you. That is a strange replacement. Don't you love autocorrect?
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else have any comments on the minutes from our last subcommittee meeting? Any changes, edits requested?
I
Hearing
move we
none.
approve the minutes
Awesome. A second?
with the noted changes.
It's fine. Okay, can I second? I don't know. Anyone else want to second?
I'll second. I'll second.
Thank
Oh,
you.
I thought that was, sorry. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let's have a vote on that. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, the motion passes. The meetings are approved. So getting down to our discussion and action items. Art, do you want to kick us off with the fiscal year 26-27 budget cycle overview and any discussions on that you would like to lead us through?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on. I know there's several of my team are on as well, so we'll walk you through the budget calendar and the guidelines in a minute. I do have a funny-ish story about the minutes that you guys just approved, right? So most people without seeing the spelling of my last name would just naturally presume that it starts with a Q, right? You don't know how to pronounce it. So my son is a sophomore or junior at Ironwood Ridge, and he plays baseball. And so last year was his first year playing varsity. He played varsity all year, and they nicknamed him Q, right? Because of the last name, right? So the boys couldn't pronounce it. The coach, rather, thought his name should start with his last name should start with a Q instead of a C, and so his nickname is effectively Q now. And I thought it was an appropriate little nugget to share given the minutes. But I digress. I will share my screen. Let me know if you guys can all see this. If I need to blow it up, make it bigger, happy to do so.
Could you stretch it out a little bit, Art?
Is that okay there?
That's good for me. Can everybody else see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the standard calendar and guidelines memo that finance and risk management sends out at the beginning of the budget process. This memo was sent out on November 17th. You can see to whom it was sent to, all the elected officials, the presiding judge at Superior Court, and all of the department directors. So Jackson and his team likely would have gotten this on the 17th or somewhere thereabout. And listed in this memo are some key dates for the departments to be aware of as we move through the 26-27 budget cycle. So we'll kick off with the first date here on November 24th. That would have been last Monday when adaptive planning, which is our budgeting resource system, that opened up on last Monday for departments to get in there and start updating their budget information, filling out their narratives, and working with our departmental analysis folks on budget entry. So I know that didn't open until about 4:30 in the afternoon. And I think we did push out a notification alerting users that the budget was now open. And so that was the first key date for the budget open for departments to go in and get in there and start working. The December 1st date here is really organizational budget group structural changes. We don't see a lot of these from year to years, as I understand it. This is more for if a department is reorganizing, or county admin is collapsing departments or creating or splitting off departments. I think it's been done in the last couple of years with Parks and Recreation and CLR split, creating two different departments, Conservation and Lands Resources Department and then Parks and Rec. I know it happened in my department last year where finance grants moved over back under the finance and that we diverged them from GMI. So any kind of structural changes like that, if somebody wants to create a new program or a new cost center, those would be due actually at the end of the day-to-day. I don't know if this is applicable to Jackson or not on his team, but if they would be due at the end of business today. Couple of other dates, key dates from a wastewater perspective. The CIP budget is pulled from Masterworks and loaded. That starts next Monday. So for folks that to be working on CIP, of which I know wastewater is heavy into CIP. So that'll be loaded from Masterworks next week. We'll have our internal rates. These are things like your internal service rates for IT, your rates for risk management, things like that. The MOUs from the Pima County Attorney's Office, all those will be done and published in the workday for 26-27 on the 29th of December. So that's a little over about a month from now, 28 days from now, 4 weeks. January 9th, we have the CIP budgets are due to finance and budget. And I know that Jackson and his team do a very good job. As a matter of fact, I think at the last full committee meeting, there was a full discussion on CIP for wastewater. So those budgets are due on the 9th. The key date here, the big date for departments is January 16th. The questionnaires are due from the departments on that date. Along with all of the other operational and grant budgets that a department is working on. All of those are needed to be submitted to finance via the Workday Adaptive Planning System on January 16th. Moving down the calendar here, we have about a 2-week period where we're going to meet with county admin and the deputy county administrators to review operating and CIP budgets. We are doing something a little different this year. In prior years, my understanding is that they've had like 30-minute or 15 to 30-minute meetings with the DCAs and the departments via Teams. And we're going to do it in person this year, where departments, the bigger departments, I would presume that Jackson will be given about 45 minutes to talk about his budget, the challenges he's seeing, any concerns that he has with the budget, talk about any supplementals that he will be submitting or has submitted for the 26-27 year. We're going to have a template so that the Jan and the DCAs will have all of the information in front of them as far as total budget, CIP, grant operating, personnel. So they'll have a myriad of information in front of them. And the department will be given, in Jackson's case, it'd be about 45 minutes, for a smaller department, like procurement, HR, finance, we might get, 20 minutes to talk about our budget, because it's not as complex. There's not as many moving pieces for us. And so the larger departments, DOT, DSD, will be given additional time to go through their department budgets with a county admin. That will happen the week of January 26th through the week of February 6th. So we're starting to block time off there, Jackson. So we'll make sure we get you on the calendar or save the date for those meetings. They'll be over at the big conference room underneath the dome. February 17th, we have a strategic plan overview and a Board of Supervisors study session. So we'll talk at this about a strategic plan, how we are using the budget to guide strategic plan elements. The Board of Supervisors had a full day strategic planning session earlier this year. I want to say it was in the September-October timeframe. And there are elements that will be requested from the departments in the 26-27 budget that relate to both the prosperity initiative and the strategic plan. And so we will be taking this to the Board of Supervisors for a budget study session and strategic planning session on February 17th. On March 17th, about a month later, we'll talk about the CIP overview, talking about it by department, by fund, giving them a highlight of some of the projects that are included in our recommendation for the 26-27 budget. So we did that last year, looking to make some tweaks based on some feedback we've gotten from the Board of Supervisors. So we will be taking that CIP review to the BOS on March 17th. April 17th is when we'll submit or the county administrator will submit her recommended budget to the Board of Supervisors. At that point, we'll then have a couple of different meetings in throughout April and then May before tentative budget adoption on the 19th. And then you have the final budget adoption on June 16th with the adoption of the levy that Monday in August, as has been in prior years. So that's an overview of the calendar, high level. Couple notes here. At the time of this memo, the construction of this memo, we were not going to entertain general fund supplemental budget requests because our projections at this point are pretty bleak for 27 in the general fund. And so it was direction was provided that we weren't going to seek supplementals in the general fund. It doesn't necessarily impact wastewater. That has since changed. When I gave my presentation to the board at the November 18th meeting, there was at least one supervisor who wanted us to capture departmental budget needs. And so, you know, we're going to get further direction from county admin this afternoon on how they want to see those, but I'm going to suggest that it's probably a supplemental. I mean, those are budgetary needs of the department. So we'll have to tweak that a little bit. Non-general fund departments can still submit supplemental budget requests if there's a dedicated revenue stream to fund the request. And as I mentioned, there are the prosperity initiative alignment and strategic plan alignment elements in the questionnaire that Jackson and his team will fill out and submit by January 16th. We are also working on a website where it'll house a lot of the information as it becomes available during the budget process. I don't know where we're at on that, so I'll have to, if that's of interest to the committee, we'll have to get back to you and we can send that out to Jeanette to get you guys the link to that information. But it's really for departments to monitor the progress. I think we post supplementals up there. And so, you know, that will become available if it's not already available for departments to use in the 26-27 budget cycle. With that, I will pause here. That's an overview of the guidelines, the timeline that departments have for submitting their budgets, their capital operating personnel budgets for the 26-27 year. In January 2026.
Great, thank you, Art. Yeah, Jackson, if there's discussion, kick us off.
Yeah, so a question, Art. You know, I'll use electricity, I think, as the best example. You know, typically the, you know, TEPs and the, you know, various electrical suppliers, but TEP is the largest one for the county. Is finance going to recommend like an inflationary value or anything in there? You know, we're not sure exactly when the rates come during the cycle. We'll have to look. Of course, we try to stay in touch with all of our contracts and when there may be increases, but sometimes we just don't know. And so I'm just curious, like if I'm projecting that TEP is going to raise the rates on September 26, you know, I'm just making up a hypothetical, by some percentage, you know, again, they have to go through the whole process and we never know if it, but a lot of times we'll budget when we have a, you know, fair confidence that something will happen. But then again, I always think, well, what about my colleagues in other departments that use electricity And there, I mean, it'll be interesting if we all are using different rates for electricity. So I'm just curious, is there anything that finance is gonna do to make a recommendation on how we would budget for a common commodity used across the board, such as electricity? Or is every department for themselves go figure out what you think your contracts will do and put them in your budget and we'll see how they fly?
That's a really good question, Jackson. In our 5-year forecast that we presented to county admin a month ago, they came back and told us to include a utility cost increase. So it would not just cover electricity, but perhaps water, gas, anything, any one of our utilities that may increase. We are going to assign an inflationary dollar amount in the projection. It would also be my recommendation at county admin that we do that across the board so that we're not getting these fluctuating amounts from one department to the next. But of course, the next question that is going to come from that is going to be, well, your inflationary factor isn't enough for my department, right? My department needs more because we use more electricity or whatever the case may be. So we are going to include an inflationary dollar amount for utilities. What that amount is, I'm not sure yet. And I would anticipate that things like that moving forward are not supplemental budget increases, because those are known, or those should be known costs or relatively known costs that a department, wouldn't necessarily need to request a supplemental for if the cost of the provision of those services is increasing. What we can already know from Tucson Water what their 5-year rate forecast is, because they're pretty well out there with it. I think TEP did put their rate increase out there, and that's currently being discussed with the ACC. Is it that's the regulating body? I haven't heard much from Southwest Gas as far as rate increases, but we would increase all of those line items by an inflationary factor, and then basically make a base budget adjustment for that in the budget. So good question, and yes, we are working on that, and we, unless county admin tells me to do something different, that is our plan.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, Art, the new Workday adaptive plan, is that going to show the budget in a little different format than what we've used in the past? Should we be aware that there might be some fluctuations in where certain items are located?
It's a good question, Eric. I don't believe that it's going to show it. Well, let me just say this. There is a standard format that I believe county admin likes to see and department directors like to see. And we are adhering to that format as far as how it's depicted in the recommended budget book and then later on in the adopted budget book. And so, it should remain pretty consistent with what you've seen in the past, as we're not anticipating making, any dramatic changes to the format or what is presented to both county administration, the Board of Supervisors, and then the public at large.
Thank you. A second question to all of this. As I understand, state statute only allows us the county to spend X number of dollars through their operational budget. Is that adjusted for inflation every year by the state, or do we take another figure from another agency and use it?
That's another good question, Eric. What he's referring to, for those that may not know, is the expenditure limitation. That's set forth by state statute based upon, I think it was our 1979. There's a calculation here. It's your FY80 base limit and then there's some other factors in there. So the state does that. The state does that for us. We don't calculate that. We are basically told what that number is for each successive year. And the county does need to go out for an adjustment to reflect what our revenue stream's actually collecting. That does require a vote of the people. And it has to be done at a general election. So the next general election opportunity for the county to go out is November 2026. And so we are already planning for that now. But it is set by the state. And there is it's a population factors in, and there's other factors that are factored into that equation as well. So that's what Eric is referring to.
Thank you.
Matt?
Thank you. Morning, Art, and congratulations on having a great ball player in the family.
Thank you.
Proud papa, I'm sure.
Very much so.
I also have a couple of questions. One, you referred to the strategic plan. You know, we heard last week or last month, no, this month earlier, I guess. No, last month, it's December. Anyway, at the last RAC meeting, we heard about a number of long-term planning initiatives. One was Pima Prospers. Is Pima Prospers the strategic plan, or is there another long-term plan that's the strategic plan?
A good question. Pima Prospers is Pima County's equivalent of a general plan. So it sets our long-term land use planning guide, a tool. So that's separate and distinct from the strategic plan, which the board is undertook. Again, I don't know when that meeting was, October, September. But those are different, and those two plans are different from the prosperity initiative. And so trying to weave the budget, I haven't heard much conversation around the budget and Pima Prospers as much as I have heard about the budget and the strategic plan elements, and then the prosperity initiative and how the department budgets align with the elements contained in the strategic plan, and then the 16 or so initiatives of Pima, of the prosperity initiative. And so less about Pima Prospers, and it's more about how and tracking how the county is spending its dollars in relation to strategic plan elements and prosperity initiative elements.
Okay, I guess I'm just wondering whether there's something in or around the strategic plan that would be beneficial for us to learn about as we kind of took our long-term view at county planning I guess I don't know enough about what's in the plan and how it might affect wastewater, and then in turn our committee's operations or responsibilities. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think the good starting place on that, Matt, would be for Jeanette to send maybe if there's a working document that's in draft form of the strategic plan. Again, I think Jackson and I would have to confer with Carmine to see what's available for public consumption, because I want to make sure that we're sending out the same information that the board has seen. I believe there was a memo not long ago that was a strategic planning update memo. Give me a second, I can see if I can find it here. But Nancy Cole she's a senior advisor, and she has been one of the folks that have been heading up that endeavor. Yeah, so I think, did Andy drop something in the chat or? Let me do this. This was the latest memo that went out. I dropped it in the chat. Let me know if you can all access that. This memo was sent out on November 19th. And it does include it looks like a presentation of sorts or what the plan actually is. And so I would encourage the committee to read that. Okay, so that's good. Asia said she's able to click. It goes through on page 10 of the document about the Board of Supervisors priorities, what our opportunities and challenges are, and how some board policies aligns with the strategic plan. So I'm happy to share it to the screen, but I also did share it in the chat. I think that's probably a good starting point for the committee to review, as it will help inform the question that you asked, Matt. And then, we could have further dialogue on what it means or you guys could have further dialogue on its implications for wastewater with Jackson. Certainly happy to sit in for any budget discussions or financial discussions that may need to evolve as a result of the strategic plan.
Great. And then, quick action there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Secondly, I'm wondering when we as a subcommittee or full committee will be able to first see any of the products that we're going to deal with in the coming months, both the financial plan draft and budget plan.
A good question. I saw Asia had her hand up as well. We can, I think Michelle has been working on the cash flow statement, which obviously informs the financial plan. I would anticipate being able to share either at the next meeting of the RWRAC, or if we wanted to have a subcommittee review that before it goes to the full RWRAC, we can certainly happy to accommodate that. But I see Michelle has her hand up, so she might be able to inform that conversation a little bit better.
Michelle, go ahead and jump in.
Okay, hey, I just wanted to let you know, typically we wait until the operating budget and the CIP budget has been submitted. And so in February, Jeanette can correct me if I'm wrong, that's the first time. And we were working on the information in the background, but Jackson's team, as Art alluded, just got access to start their fiscal year 27 budget. So we'll be layering that information in as his team puts it together. Beginning of January is when that information is due. So by mid-January, we've got the updated numbers for fiscal year 27, and we'll get that information to Jeanette with a new rate workbook, so that we can present that to the group.
Looking at the previous years, that's pretty much January. We got the initial rate workbook, just the initial draft. And it was always discussed, it previously has been discussed in the financial subcommittee before going to the RAC. You guys dig in, you ask the questions, then you give the overview to the full committee, and then it goes from there.
Great. Thank you. Asia, you've had your hand up and down, so I want to jump to you. I don't know if you had any of the discussion topics that Art has addressed, or whatever you want to say.
Okay, thank you, Kirsten. Yeah, it's somewhat related. I was going to mention that maybe also scheduling the CIP subcommittee meetings so that we can review and get back on the capital program, because that is something that also gets reviewed in detail and could provide, some information back to the financial subcommittee. So we don't have to do that exactly right now. I just wanted to bring it up to make sure I don't, forget about it. All right, thanks.
I believe if I'm not going crazy, which is entirely possible, I believe Art, I believe I sent you some dates on that and was just waiting for your response for availability. And then
Yeah,
we
I do
can,
know you sent me some dates. I think there were multiple requests for dates. I wasn't sure if, I thought I had responded, which is why we're meeting today. But
for the
evidently,
CIP subcommittee.
oh, for the CIP subcommittee. Got it.
Yep.
See, I knew I responded to something.
I know
Um,
there's a lot going on.
So
So
let me
just once we have
look
your
at that again.
availability, then Asia, we could do the doodle.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Jeanette, and thanks, Kirsten. Just to, however we line up with the financial subcommittee could be important then too. We can check back. Jeanette, maybe you can help us make sure we can have that on track so that you don't have to schedule multiple meetings of both committees.
Just
You
for
don't want
my,
multiple meetings in one day? Are you sure?
If we have to, we have to. I'm just saying, like, for everyone's, benefit.
for my understanding, is the CIP committee trying to meet in December or January or both? What's your hopes here?
January, I believe.
Okay.
I think the dates are in January.
That makes sense. That's what I had in my head, but I was just double checking. Okay, so with that, let's move on to Eric.
Yeah, one more just simple question. We had planned, last year, we went through our public hearings. We set up a rate increase for this fiscal year and for subsequent fiscal years. Are we gonna be looking at maybe the potential that we have to adjust that? Due to financial, for the county?
It's a little early for me to have an informed conversation on that right now. It'll depend on the first forecast, with the operating budgets and the CIP budgets included in that, and to determine whether or not we need to come back for either an additional rate increase or to increase the amounts. We did update the rate increase, the rate workbook and the cash flow statements with the amounts that the Board of Supervisors approved and went into effect. So we should be able to run those numbers with those rates included and see how we land from a it's spacing me right now. See how we land on the ratio. So we'll know more probably end of this month.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions for Art regarding this 26-27 budget cycle overview? All
And then
right.
you're not going to get rid of me that quickly. We are coming back on the 18th, as I will hold the commitment with our financial advisor for the full RWRAC committee on December 18th. I'm basically going to give the same presentation that we did for the one in November. I'm hoping that Jeanette can let me have a little bit more time, maybe, perhaps, so that we can answer the committee's questions in greater depth. So we'll see you guys all on the 18th of December.
Perfect. Thank you. Jeanette, did you want to speak to the amount of time that we can give Art at that meeting?
I do take bribes.
Mm.
I'm just gonna put that out there, but,
Christmas cookies?
let me see, I think our schedule for December is a little bit looser. We have the RAC work plan, the quarterly vacancy review and elimination update, and the budget year in review. So with the addition of the RBC, I think I mean, you don't have to give the same presentation over because you're going to be just summating that and then picking up the discussion and allowing people to have questions. So I think a good 30 minutes. Do you think, Art, or will you need more than that? 40 minutes?
I was gonna say 40, maybe.
Okay. The work plan should only take about 5-10 minutes. It's, we've discussed it a few times already. Community relations has been moved to January. The vacancy review and elimination should take another 5 or 10 minutes. So we're going to be focusing on you. So I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
And again, I do take bribes.
I will certainly get with you on what I can bribe you, especially if I can have like a time certain. So we don't have to be there at 8. Time certain would be good too, like, 8:45, 9. So I'll get with you offline on that.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Art.
Great. And
bet.
just for the record, so when we talk about the Board of Supervisors policy regarding the risk reserves, I unfortunately am not going to be able to make the 18th. I'm sorry, Jeanette. I'm at the Colorado River Water Users Association conference that day. So unfortunately, I will not be joining you. Claire, can you just sort of do the report out from this subcommittee from what we discussed today with Art for me? And then just remind everybody that we moved it forward for their discussion and unanimously from this committee last month.
Sure, or another member could do that as well. I mean, because I'm sharing the meeting. Is there someone that would like to do that?
Asia, do you want to do that on my behalf?
I will also be at the Colorado River Water Users Association.
Okay, I'll do it. Let's matter. I just know that I'm also also the chair, so maybe one of the other committee members would like to.
If I just delegate you, I'll just delegate you. You can say Kirsten delegated me to report out on her behalf.
Okay, I'm happy to do that. All right.
And then just kick Art off into that discussion, but let it go on record that I support moving it with Arts, just like we said in these very minutes, moving it forward from our committee through the RWRAC into the Board of Supervisors. So, great. With that, I guess we should talk about our meeting schedule as well as future agenda items that would drive the scheduling. Should we schedule for January since the sometime after the CIP committee meets? What makes sense for our next late January?
Let me give you the dates. Let me just show you the dates for the CIP meeting. So this is the dates that we just need to confirm with Art.
Early January. Okay.
So it's roughly the first and second week. Thereabouts. So and our January RAC meeting is the 23rd. So if we want to have it,
Can you leave
this
that?
month,
Can you go
the
back
12th.
to your that email? Because I'll just tell you what my calendar is right now.
all righty. Go for it, Art.
January 5th for CIP subcommittee.
Yes, sir.
I could do that. I could do January 5th at 9.
For a 2-hour meeting, though, Jack's has to be gone at 10. So it's from 8 to 10. So that January 5th won't work for you then. What about the 7th? From 10 to 12.
That would actually work. I could push a meeting that I have at 11:30 back, so I can make that work. January 7th.
We also have 11 to 1. So, but you have a meeting from 11:30, so you're going to push that back.
Yeah,
January
I can
8th,
push that
8
back.
to 10.
January 8th. That would work, but 8 o'clock meetings are not my preference. And then, yeah,
And
the
the 9th,
9th,
8 to 10.
the 9th would work again as I'm not sure what the affinity is for 8 a.m. meetings, but
I get here at 6, so 8 is the day's half over. All right, so I will do a doodle poll on that to the subcommittee members for CIP. So if we go to,
Does that make
so they're
it-
all right here. So if we do from the 12th to the 16th,
12th.
I'll get with Art and Jackson on those dates. And that way both of the meetings will be accomplished before our RAC meeting. Sound
Sounds
good? Okay.
Perfect.
12 through 16th.
And I have very, very good availability at the moment that week. So,
Wonderful. Block
Perfect.
us out.
so that brings us to future agenda items. Jeanette, what are you tracking already? And sounds like we're gonna take
All right.
information from Asia on the CIP and from Art on some of the budget preparations.
All right.
What does
So
that look like?
previous January meetings. Oops, wrong one. Financial subcommittee. Hold on. Previous financial subcommittee draft rate workbook was on the agenda.
That's right.
And that was just it, really, because the other stuff we've already done. We don't need to do a rate increase. We don't need to go over the financial pillars. So it's really just the budget discussion and financial plan. So draft rate workbook, that kind of stuff.
Sounds good. Is there
what-
anything else Art or others want to nominate?
No, I don't. I will say the sooner that you guys can populate your budgets, the sooner that we can get to work on the rate workbook.
Sounds good. All right. Any other thoughts from the committee, or we can just go for the call to the audience? Hearing none. Call to the audience. Anyone have anything? Again, hearing none. How about a very fast financial subcommittee meeting for the beginning of December and a motion to adjourn? Anyone want to so move?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Excellent.
Second.
All right. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 All opposed? Have a great holiday season, everyone, and we'll see you in January.
No.
Thank you
Eric.
all.
Nope.
Eric,
Thanks, you
Thank you.
too.
happy holidays.
Bye.
Eric, please stay on the
Bye.
call.
Bye-bye.